My name is Scott Bennett. Back in 2023, I had an emergency heart transplant that saved my life and changed my life. Now I'm having conversations about life that get straight to the heart of it. So, not every episode is created equal. I've learned that in doing podcasts, and I try to find guests that are interesting for various reasons. And it occurred to me, I was at an event and talking to some people who were visiting Texas from New York, and we were just talking, making small talk about their first experience in Dallas. And so I asked these people, what did you do on your stay? And sort of everything in that conversation disappeared because they went straight to barbecue. They said to me, they had so many questions about barbecue. I then had questions for them, like, is the barbecue culture thing real? Like, what happened to JR and South Fork and Dallas? What happened to the Cowboys? All they wanted to do was talk barbecue. And so I knew sooner or later that opportunity was going to come. And I am thrilled to have Joe Zavala of Zavala's Barbecue in Grand Prairie, Texas. We'll talk about that in just a minute with us. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Joe, I knew about you because we have a mutual friend and I followed a little bit of your story. I am a native Texan, so, fascinated by the barbecue culture and in the distance knew about you, but I just would love for you to introduce yourself to the world because if I do it, I'm probably going to gush. You were a little bit of like a hidden celebrity. So when I got to meet you, I was pretty excited. So just share a little bit about who you are. And
yeah, I'm Joe Zavala, pitmaster, co-owner of Zavala's Barbecue with my wife, Kristen. She owns Moss Coffee Co. It's our sister company that we sell breakfast tacos and coffee. We're born and raised in Grand Prairie, Texas. So we could have gone to any city. We wanted to do it in our hometown. We're actually high school sweethearts. Both went to Grand Prairie High, Gophers. And, we bought a house in 2015. And I think it's every Texan rite of passage on a home. You made your first brisket. So I stole the smoker from my father-in-law, made my first brisket on July 4th of 2015. Had all our friends over. They all said it was great. My best friend said it was the worst thing he ever had in his life. So that was the motivation for me to cook every single weekend. I was obsessed. It's all I cared about. Around the November timeframe, I had friends say, this is actually pretty good. I was like, for real? So I said, hey, told my wife, said, there's no risk at all. Let's do pre-orders only, social media, and we'll see where it goes. So January 1st, 2016, we opened Zavala's Barbecue through social media. So excited. Everybody said they're going to buy stuff from us. That whole first week, we didn't get a single order. I was so sad. But that Saturday morning, I made a post. Thank y'all so much for the love and support. Now taking orders for next week, about to go do these deliveries. Well, no one knew that we didn't get a single order. I just made like these makeshift boxes and put the stickers and stuff on there. About March timeframe, we got orders from people we didn't know. So that was like awesome. Then in August of 2017, we did our first pop-up. It was awesome. And then in 2018, we started doing weekly pop-ups. We were at the Brass Bean. The second week, we got an article written in D Magazine about us. It's like, oh my God, we made it. And the city shut us down. We didn't have the right permits. So we had to figure out what we're going to do next. The city worked with us. And then, we only had about 18 weeks to figure out what we're going to do. Me and my business partner who bought the building around May, June timeframe, we went to a bank. We were maybe had a cold loan star or two. And the bank gave us a loan. We're like, oh, so we just bought a building. So we closed on the building in September of 18. And then in February 2019, we opened to the public. And Daniel Vaughn was one of the 200 people in line the first day we opened. 2 weeks later, he wrote an article that we have flawless brisket. Like, we were so excited. It was the coolest thing ever. Rocking and rolling. And then November of 2019, my son, it was a pot roast I was putting up. My son was with my wife and he was one. And he started choking on a veggie straw. My wife started yelling at me. I slipped and fall. And I went in there. You're not supposed to stick your finger down their throat. You're supposed to turn around and hit in the back. Learn that. Right. So when I slipped and fell, went up, I thought I tore my rotator cuff. Funny enough, that day I scheduled a doctor's appointment because I had real bad sciatica. It was scheduled for Wednesday. So I go to the doctor on Wednesday. I say, I know I'm here for sciatic, but I think I tore my rotator cuff. He's like, does a test. And he's like, let's do MRI. So that Friday was Black Friday. I did an MRI. We come back that following Tuesday. He walks in white as a ghost and says, I think you have cancer. I said, what did you just say? How am I supposed to have cancer? It's a rotator cuff. So December 9th, I go to orthopedic doctor. He says, it's a giant cell tumor. We just need to take it out. I said, well, let's do it right now. And he said, we can't do it right now, but we can do it tomorrow. I said, all right. So then we go December 10th to do the surgery. And I asked the doctor how long the surgery of his cancer. He's like, we're not going to talk about this. I said, well, I want to know. He was like, 45 minutes. So I wake up and asked the nurse, how long is my surgery? She was like, 40 minutes. I said, well, I got cancer. So my wife's best friend walks up and I said, I have cancer, huh? And they're like, yeah. So I said, can we get some tacos? So we ate tacos all night long. And then,
I knew about this. I mean, I didn't know your story about the veggie straw. And, there's a lot there, right, to unpack because here you were, this normal guy. Sounds like reminds me of me because let's just be clear. My journey with barbecue did sort of the same thing during the pandemic, was fascinated with the culture, got the green egg. Then I realized I'm remedial when it comes to barbecue. So then I went to the Traeger. Now I don't have anything. I've taken it all away from myself. But here you were on this ascent, building this thing that just sort of happened. And lo and behold, you diagnosed with cancer out of nowhere. Right. And here we are in 2026. We'll talk about the success of the business. But when I learned about you and heard about you, I knew that you had had this diagnosis either through our friend or maybe on social media. You have been very public with it because it's one of those things. So
I just became public with it. I would say I was embarrassed of my cancer from December to May. I didn't want anybody to know about it because I got tired of the same questions, like, everything. But when I was going to go through my stem cell and chemo, I was going to lose hair and everything. And I was
right,
going to miss work for 3 months. That's when I came out. But my biggest regret was it coming out earlier because everybody I talked to, like, it was hope because people were telling me, oh,
yeah,
I've been in remission for 10 years, 5 years, 6 years. It's like you forget that people want to tell you you're going to be okay, right? And one thing
well,
my wife told me was, don't be a grumpy pants because if you are, no one's going to want to be around you during that journey and journey that I'm
yeah.
still going
Now,
through.
and I related to you there too because today is 1,089 days, and actually tomorrow, I'm still right in my 3-year anniversary of my heart transplant. Right, it's not something you hear every day, and I'm doing amazing. But I have to go in this week and do all the tests. So that's our lives, right, Joe? I mean, we know that we have this thing and we're living our best life, right? But there's always that I have the change in perspective about every day, and so I I can't help but think, wow, so much has happened in a short amount of time. We're a new dad. You have these businesses. So, how do you make sense of all this? I mean, we have this amazing thing going on in Texas with barbecue, and there's all these pitmasters, and you mentioned some of them. We can talk about some of them, but it seems like you've had just a lot of great things happen for you. I mean, you've overcome cancer. You built a successful business. Do you ever stop and pinch yourself? I mean,
I would say recently, I'm, I'm, I, I'm coming at peace that I don't need it. I'm humble, but I need to be proud of what I've done. And I used to be embarrassed talking about my stuff and underplay everything because, like, I felt like I was bragging. But people are like, "You work really hard," and I'm like, you know what? You're right. I do work really hard. Um, so I appreciate it more now than I did, probably just a year ago. I just wasn't really appreciative of what I've accomplished. I felt like I needed to do more and more and more. But now I'm realizing it's we've done okay, and I can appreciate it. And like I see how proud my son is, and then I get to have a great team that like we like just last year we offered up vacation. This year I'm about to offer up insurances, right? So it's like things that I wouldn't have been proud of. Now I'm like really appreciating that we're
you've
able
created
to do
you've
better.
created you've created jobs, and look, I work in the insurance space, right? So I do benefit programs. We should talk about that, but but I can't help but think, do you ever wonder what would have happened had you not had the accident? Had you not with the veggie straw? I'm joking. What if you hadn't discovered this? What would have?
I'll be dead
Yeah,
because I was just taking pills for my pain, not realizing it was a bone marrow cancer that was causing all my pains. Because we're men, we just work
right,
through it, just take pills to
right.
Advil to cover it up, and I would it would have been long gone, right? So I would have
I
found it.
so appreciate that because you're right. There's a as I said, there's a big issue with men and their health, right? They don't do enough. Whether we have so much information, like I wear two wearables, right? And there's so many vehicles out there. You can get there's a blood program that you can get basically every known blood test that you would possibly ever need for $360 and check the biomarkers, but people don't want to do it.
Because
And people,
they're scared of the bad news, but you need the bad news to get better.
yeah. And you and I know that, right? We have to live through it and you're living your best life.
To learn more about Joe Zavala and Zavala's Barbecue, visit zavalasbarbecue.com.
I want to talk a little bit about, you sort of breezed through, but were you said you bought a house and the idea of cooking, but what were you like as a kid? What was your relationship with food and eating and cooking as a child?
So, my family's from South Texas, Crystal City, Zavala County, about an hour and a half from San Antonio. All our vacations were going to see my grandparents. Like every vacation, that was it. So every
Right.
time we were there, it was always cookouts. And then, at my house, it was always cookouts because the Dallas Cowboys were winning championships. So it was always a party. It was cookout Friday night, cookout Saturday during the day. And it was either chicken, ribs, brisket was, oh my God, or some fajitas. Everything was in a tortilla. Everything was a salsa. Everything was beans, rice, and potato salad. So it was always just communal people, all family, friends, door always open. And my dream actually, I had a Chipotle napkin. It was like I want to open a taco shop because like I love tacos. And I had the brisket taco on there, right? I had breakfast tacos on there, so it's
Yeah.
kind of funny. And I ended up the barbecue joint where I sell tacos, or we have tortillas to turn anything into taco. Um, but yeah, even like when I got my smoker, it was like our first smoker. Like it was always like, hey, I can cook for everybody. You always like in Texas, when something tragic happens, there's always barbecue plates and everything. So I was, oh, we can do loud stuff. And then just people were like, it's good. And that's what like, I'm like, all right, let's
And
try
now,
this out.
when you framed for me the size of the business and how many briskets you do a day, talk a little bit about this process. Cause here you are, we have to talk about where you started and where it is, like one base level smoker. And now what's going
So,
there?
so we have 6 smokers now. Like we have a relationship with American Airlines Center. We have a section out there on 121. We help them on stuff too. So, at any moment, like we can be up to 116 briskets in 12 hours. That's a lot of meat. And,
Yeah.
and it's cool. Like it's kind of funny. I get bored with just a little bit of stuff, but like this past Sunday, like I saw my original smoker and it was a beautiful day and I made a promise. I do goals. And one of my goals was to smoke for myself more often. I went to pick up a chicken, pick up a rack of ribs, and I smoked the chicken and rack of ribs. It was 4 hours a thing, and it was pleasant. And it brought.
You still get the rush off of doing it for yourself as much. Do you
I
like
get that.
doing it for yourself?
I get more of a rush doing it for myself and pleasure than like because I haven't truly touched the process of cooking from start to finish since January 2022. Before that, every single piece of meat was trimmed, seasoned, pulled from by myself. Like our barbecue's better now, and like I literally, unless somebody's like really sick and we don't have backups or whatever, like, I
They want you
haven't
out
done.
there. You're messing it up. You've grown it so big and people have surrounded you that you've created this thing where you no longer, which is now you're running a business, right? So that's the
Yeah.
big,
So, like my job is to get in front of people, find new opportunities for us.
yeah,
So my team can, so we can do these benefits, so we can do vacations, so they can make
right.
a career out of this.
You're
Like it's,
scaling.
we're scaling.
Yeah. And it's so unbelievable. Well, we actually met. I told you I knew about you, but then when I had a chance to meet you, we met in a fun event. And I want to bring it up because you were gracious enough to come way out of your comfort zone, I think. I
Way
didn't
out.
know, but there was this bulletin sent to me from my synagogue and, I do this podcast. I do a lot of things. I'm speaking and I just finished a book actually 2 weeks ago. So it's an edit. and I was excited to come. And as soon as I saw your event, I I signed up and I went. But to watch how you did this, and you were reflecting during this event that you cooked the challenge was, and maybe you can frame it up, was like you were coming to cook a kosher brisket, which I'll let you frame up what that is, what that meant when you saw it. But you were unbelievable. You gave a cooking demo to a group of people who a lot of them don't even eat Texas barbecue because they can't, maybe because they keep kosher. But just talk about what you thought it was and what it turned out to be.
Yeah, when they presented it to me, I was like, oh, did I say, you know what, this is a challenge. And like as a human, you want to keep on learning.
Yeah.
So, I know about the Jewish culture because one of my good friends, Kyle, married into it. So I know like the foundation, but this was like hardcore kosher. So I learned a lot from it, like, the cheese and the butter and then like kosher meats. And like, we had to go use a kosher smoker and like, I couldn't even start the fire. Somebody else had to start the fire. So it's, all new to me. Like y'all's briskets are already a little salty and then they're massive. So like, it was kind of like, pair of ribs, like, oh my gosh, like how much we
Yeah.
were trimming off of it. Right. But, I said, we're going to do a true Texas style one. And we held to it. And, like we made all of our signature sides and they were all without dairy products. So that was really cool. The flavor was so good. The brisket actually came out beautiful.
That was delicious.
And it was unbelievable. Like, I was terrified that I was going to either be too dry or like, especially because it was a Wagyu brisket, typical, like, prime or select, it takes 10 or 12 hours. Like this one took like 18 hours because it was just so much, I call it free butter, but all the fatty that's in there. And, it was awesome. And I could not believe there was over 120 people there. I was like, whoa, there was kids there.
Well, they got me to show up, Joe. I don't
Yeah.
go, but I mean, I'm telling you, I went with a friend, and I've told people about the event. I've talked, and in fact, I've introduced you to another friend who's called you because I thought you were amazing. You have such a way about you. What you see is what you get. You kind of meet those people along the way, but I can't help but reflect to you just your response, because I had not seen you in person, not seen you do this, but like you were in awe of yourself that you were able to take on this challenge, and it was
It was
so
hard.
sweet. Yeah.
You
Well,
know, I-
listen,
Well,
I don't.
y'all paid money for it and I didn't want to let y'all down. I was kind of terrified until I saw like a brisket. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, good for me that I don't keep kosher, number one, because now I've been waiting. So I had you on so that I could come out now after we do this. We'll see the clips. But my wife, sadly, is not she's not a true Texan. So barbecue is kind of a thing for her. She likes certain things. And it occurred to me, people probably ask you all the time, like, where's your favorite barbecue? And share with today, what's the answer to that?
Well, for lunch, I went to First Chinese Barbecue. Like, it's just great, but, I think I do enjoy eating other people's barbecue, but like, I really can't go to my friends because they want to give me this big old tray of food. So I just like good chopped beef sandwiches. I keep it kind of simple now. But some of the best places in DFW is, Danes, Cadillac, Panther City, Smoky Joe's in Dallas, in Austin, Evan Leroy's, Houston, Truth Barbecue. And, everybody has like the beautiful thing about barbecue, especially in Texas, is like it's Texas barbecue, but it's funny because everybody has their own way of making it. So there's like their little signature thing of how they grew up or where they learned from it. But
Well, what's
yeah,
yours? What is unique to you?
so we serve tortillas instead of bread. We don't have pickles or onions. We have pico de gallo, and we have three salsas or two salsas and a barbecue sauce. And and our brisket is very well known in Texas because we use so much pepper. So like it's a Zavala's brisket when you eat it, smell it, look at it. So that's really awesome. With a lot of briskets are amazing in Texas, but they're very similar. So it's cool that we can stand out from that.
What about you? You mentioned, and this is why I waited, but I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly at the event. When people asked you, what do you eat? What is your favorite thing that you guys make? What did you say?
I love our turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey's what I eat a lot of. My son
No,
loves
I'm
the turkey.
coming there.
Yeah.
That's what because my wife is big on the turkey and the chicken.
I love our
So when you
turkey.
said that, I said, I know where we're going.
The turkey's good. Our turkey's really, really.
You just have it. Do you have it on the tortilla, or how do you eat it?
I eat at tacos all the time. That's
Yeah.
the way I do it. Or if I want to, I chop it up with some brisket, mix it together, and it's
Yeah.
really good.
So I took my daughters, I guess when they were younger, we went to Austin for a spring break, like a quick getaway. And I had the opportunity to meet Aaron Franklin, and he sat with us. So I got to know Aaron a little bit. I mean, he does a great job of that. And that was my first, he, it, he was already well known at that point. There was the line around the block, but not all these other, La Barbecue and some of these other places, hadn't popped up. I know there was Lockhart because I'd been to Kreitz's before in college. But I noticed that something had changed. Yes, people always love Texas barbecue, but as much as they love the barbecue was the people doing it. So Aaron did an amazing job, I think. I noticed he didn't just do it with us. He tried to engage people. And like you said, he was less doing it. How hard is that for you? Or do you enjoy that part of it? I mean, people want to come in and see Joe Zavala.
Yeah, this is why I tell my team. I said people are traveling to eat here. Their expectations are so high. Like our job is to exceed their expectations. And if it's me just having a quick conversation with somebody, that's great. But like I tell my team, if when somebody's ordering, they have 2 minutes with us. You don't rush them. You ask their questions. You ask them where they're from. You give them a sample. Like this is an experience also with the food, and ultimately that's what we're giving people, and they get excited to see the smokers, especially when there's meat in there. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do is give a full experience to the people that come out because barbecue is expensive, and this might be their one moment of splurging for the month or the year, and I want to make sure it's excellent. And also, we have to be consistent. Like if people come back, I want it to be the same that it was last week, a month ago, a year ago, 4 years ago, and that's ultimately our goal.
Yeah. I grew up as a kid. My grandfather used to put us in the car. I grew up in North Dallas, but there was a place called Solly's Barbecue. I'm old enough to remember it was on Beltline. And you go through the line and there was all these other places and it was just a thing. And so that it's similar to your experience. But what's changed now is, to your point, it is an experience. And so what drew me to do this episode, and you were the perfect guy. I was excited because I relate to you in so many ways. Um, is that when I talked to these people visiting, and they said no longer was it all the other things. I mean, so the superstars are no longer the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Aaron Franklins and Joe Zavalas, and so I think it's great to hear you reflect on the experience. What do you think, in your estimation, makes somebody be a great pitmaster? I mean, to do what you're doing, if somebody thought, I want to go be in this culture, what do they have to be great at it?
You have to have blinders on. You have to be really obsessed. Um, every because like my CFO jokes about this. He said if you would have handed me your business plan, I would have told you this is not going to work out, and
Right.
it typically doesn't. Like transparently, we're running steakhouse margins with no alcohol sales. I was really fortunate that I have family and friends that were with me at the very beginning, so we just all worked for free, right?
Yeah.
Until we were able to hire people. And, I still have a full-time job, so I'm able to invest every single dollar that we make back into our organization to make us better for long-term growth. And, a lot of people this is how they support their family. So like they have to keep a lot of that themselves. And it's hard work because, we're prepping on Monday and Tuesday for us to cook on Wednesday,
Yeah.
for us to serve, right? And then we're only open for 4 days. We're open from 11 to 4. Um, and that's what we choose because I can hire more people and we can open up more days. But at this moment, everybody's happy at work. Our sales are going up. We still have opportunities for growth. So we don't need to force it. And, we own our building, so that also helps. Where a lot of people have high rent, we're fortunate enough to buy our building and have really good
Yeah.
rent. But and it's it, it's hard, and I feel for my peers. I'm fortunate that I have another job, but I also make sure I take care of my employees, so I'm able to go find more growth for us. We just celebrated year number 10 since my backyard, and year number
That's awesome.
7 brick and mortar. So I also feel like we're over that 5 to 6 year mark. Like people know where we're at, so we're like part of the rotation.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think, with restaurants now, I think you really want to become a rotation because there's only like 5 or 6 restaurants that I go to over and over again. I'm really weary of going to new restaurants lately because every time I go to somewhere new, I get really disappointed.
I have the same experience, to be honest.
So,
And
I
I love it. Like I love it. But we live in Dallas, and I know as a kid, we had more restaurants per square foot. And you see a previous guest who was on Big Restaurant Tour, and I should introduce you to him. Somebody you would want to know. We'll talk about that.
yeah,
But he talked about, the private equity backing these big restaurants, but they fail. And you mentioned, so I think you've done something interesting, and I want to touch on it with your own personal experience. You mentioned that you do something for others that might face the same challenge. So talk a little bit about your mission driven work.
yeah.
Um,
So we started Zavala's Family Foundation. After I got my cancer, I wanted to do something. So we started during COVID, nothing could happen. So we do this big thing called Zavala's Bash, where we raise money for the people in the restaurant industry affected by cancer. We write $1,000 check, no questions asked. 4 years ago, we raised about 13,000. 3 years ago, raised about 18,000. 2 years ago, raised 33,000. Last year, we raised about $78,000. And we just write again a check $1,000 if you're in the restaurant industry and somebody in your family, immediate
yeah,
family, or yourself. No questions asked. Write a check because no one has time to fill out paperwork. Like you have
no,
cancer, and most people in the restaurant industry don't have insurance unless there's with their significant other. And cancer is expensive. And, the last thing you want to think about is like, I can't get treatment because I can't pay my bills. Right. And there's
well, that's
grants
one of the
out there.
reasons I got into insurance. I have to do a number of things, but this was a new career for me. And 2.5 years ago, I talk about being, um, I'm a super user of benefits. Fortunately, we had coverage, and a heart transplant is perhaps one of the most expensive surgeries out there. And if you're lucky enough to get an organ and then go through it, it can leave a family destitute. So it struck me. So I'd love to get involved with that with you. I think I can add some value to it. I think it's really amazing that you've taken something that's happened to you. You said you've gone from being embarrassed to now shedding a light to. I think really you can do something really amazing things for others.
Yeah. That's ultimately, I hate talking about my cancer because I'm very superstitious because I still get treatment once a month for
Yeah.
6 hours. I get immunotherapy and my numbers were creeping up the last 6 months. But we put a new drug in and it's like brought it back down. But, I have my yearly checkup, bone marrow biopsy, PET scan, everything's set for June. Fingers crossed, everything's good. But also like I try donate money to the Multiple Myeloma Foundation and the United Leukemia or United Blood Cancers. It used to be called Leukemia Lymphoma Society because like every dollar counts. Save.
100%.
I'm like if that dollar goes to some research that finds the next drug, like I did my job, and that's ultimately like and like I tell my doctor because he's even Dr. Berryman. I love him more than the world. Like he's even like not embarrassed, but he's always like doesn't want to overstep his boundaries and to welcome or overstep his ask. I said, my job is only to support you any way I can. So use me, abuse me, whatever you need me to
Right.
do. Like, I have this opportunity to use barbecue to like I did a free barbecue
Totally.
class on Saturday to raise money for my doctor for Blood United. And I did a free class and it was like 60 people showed up and we raised like $33,000, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And it was an hour and a half of my time. We gave us tacos. Everybody had a great time and people felt great. They got educated, had a great time, and they raised money for people. So
yes, I can't help but that's the thing. I mean, among the things I knew about you, we share that, right? Like I wanted to be speaking. I want to share my story. I just feel like there's so much I can do. When I speak, I intend to give half of the money back, because I can't have, I tell people I can't have life insurance. There's things I can't do. So you and I share that and similar to you, I watch my numbers. I do the things they tell me to do. I love my doctors. I think I'm trying to make this journey um, seem approachable because so many don't make it like you and I. And certainly in the restaurant space, I know there's not a lot of insurance benefits for, if you're not a manager in a restaurant, it's not a full-time job. It's hard to find it. So I love that you're doing that.
and I tell like people like I'm like I have cancer and people look at me and they're like you look fine.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like
But we're just two
no,
good looking guys doing a podcast,
yeah.
Joe. I mean, we just have things that, that don't affect us. Well,
And people are like, so how long is your treatment? I said, for the rest of my life. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, I live carefree for 29, 30 days. And one day, like my heart stops for a day till I get my numbers back. So
well, Well, do you ever think like in the future, when you think about, when you look back at this time period, are you ever going to stop and think, wow, because I think this thing's going to grow, right? It's going to scale. Um, and you said it's growing beyond you to the point where you're not even touching, your hands aren't on the product, but your brand is. And I think that's so, so important. And I think quite frankly, while you have a story to share, I think it's also what's happening around the restaurant industry. This chef culture that we're in has, there's a network, right? Food Network. And as a kid, there was no such thing. And I hear my wife, I mean, my wife and my daughter must watch it incessantly. It's mostly it's the number one thing on in my house. So, and then a big subset is the universe that you exist in. So Kate, I mean, do you just think about what that's going to be in the future? Do you think it's going to continue to grow at this pace?
I think people want authentic now. I think people want, um, you know, I think you can figure out the people that are really passionate about what they're doing, and people really get behind it. And then you can see the people that are doing it just to do it. I struggle with this because, like, I'm like, I'm like, I want to do more stuff on YouTube, more social stuff. And then like, I kudos to the people that do it because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of work. Like, we've start, stop. You got to be consistent. Uh, I haven't been consistent. Uh, I don't know if I want to be consistent. I kind of like, I'm at the point in my life now that if I'm going to say yes to something, it's like, yes, and not, I don't know. And a lot of my stuff that I do now is more for foundations or raising money because I
Yeah.
can do that. Uh, because, when
Well, I heard somebody say one time, Joe, that, and maybe this will help you is, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
I didn't
And
want to cuss, but that's
you're allowed to,
exactly,
you're allowed to. Yeah.
that's exactly how it is. Like, unless I'm like, hell yeah. Cause I'm negotiating to go to China in October for the Mavs and Rockets stuff. Like, I'm like, yeah. Cause last year I went to Slovenia to teach, barbecue. I'm
Right.
like, I get to go do pop-up in China, Macau. I'm like, yeah. And I get to take my family with me. And like, I want to be with my son 24/7. I want to be with my wife 24/7. My son's
How old
7.
is he now?
He's 7. And, like I take him everywhere. Like he's everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
like
And that's
every,
amazing. I mean, to think that this started, with what you thought was bad brisket, and now you're giving, that's the most educational experience, and obviously time with dad. And, we know that time is precious,
well,
certainly
he
you and
does.
I.
I told him he can sell this company whenever he wants. But if he does want to do restaurant, he wants to do pizzerias. I said, we can do pizzas. That's cool. Like, I'm good
Well,
with that.
well, I have a friend in town who's put his name on 6 or 7 restaurants, right? And eventually he outgrew it. I mean, he loves the creative outlet. So, I think that's the thing that I love about you is that you're doing so much, and the thing you're leaning on is the mission side of this, and whether or not you want to go out and do the videos and do the cooking, right? Like 24/7 and be on social media. I think it is a lot. So I think it takes away time from family, and it's a delicate balance, but you're at this really cool point. And the most interesting thing coming up for you is what's your involvement with the World Cup? Because you mentioned that.
So we're going to be open for 30 days straight. So we're 5 miles from there. So we're just going all in it. We're only open 4 days, but we're going to be open 30 days straight, June 14th to July 14th. Give a taste of Texas to the world that's coming here. So we're really excited about
How is this city or the metro area supporting you? I mean, how are you promoting that?
So we're still figuring all that out. We're really working closely with Lone Star Beer. They're kind of leading the charge of that. I'm building more seating so we can have 100 more seats out there. So it's all. I know we're only like a month and a half away, but it's all in works. I talked to some writers that were going to be open. They're like, "When you finish your story, let me know." I'm like, "I'm trying to figure it out." But yeah, it's like one of those things that even like the people that are closely with FIFA, that like they don't even know what's going on because FIFA's
Yeah.
real tight lit. So we're just trying to be ready for the people that are going to be here and give them a piece of Texas, especially since we're only 5 miles away, straight shot down Main Street into
Yeah.
Division. So just want to be ready for that.
I imagine there's going to be some great video of these people. You're
I
going to
hope
be
so.
it's around the world, right? Because people are going to be, we're a connected
Yeah, because
culture.
you're coming to the United States, and if you're so fortunate to be either Houston or Dallas, there's only two things you want in Texas, and that's barbecue and Tex-Mex. So we check the box for barbecue. So Like even when we travel the world, like Italy, Paris, UK, Slovenia, like we say Texas, and the first thing they ask is 20 questions about barbecue, right? You even said your
Right.
friends from New York, all they want to talk about is barbecue. So, barbecue is like one of those things that, you can you don't go up to a pastry chef and say, hey, there's too much butter here. Or you go to a French chef and say there's too much sauce, she's not good. But any person wants to talk about how they barbecue to a pitmaster because they feel like they're an expert too. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I know that you have been on an amazing journey, and I know that um, I knew about you, and so when the opportunity presented itself to sort of through my platform at least introduce the world to you, I wanted to do that because um, you really are you were so wonderful. When I saw you do this in person, I can only imagine the things and that are coming your way and will continue to come your way. So I look forward to building a friendship with you and helping you with your mission. I hope a lot of people will come out. I'm certainly going to invite some people. Don't be surprised if I become a regular, Joe. That's all I'm saying. But I'm so thrilled that you made the decision to join, and thanks for being a part of it, Joe.
No, this is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for like just give me another opportunity to talk about all the amazing things that are going on. I appreciate it.
Well, you're a treasure, so it's been great. Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you. Thank you.